everybody. My goodness, you look beautiful. You know, I thank you for putting water in my eyes, Jim. This is really phenomenal, and I am deeply moved. In fact, I think that for our movement, we're about to see the second wave of the impact of marriage equality. Because I know when I went home for my father's 80th birthday to Panama City, and for folks who don't know, Panama City, it's lower Alabama, it's also known as the Redneck Riviera, proudly. And a friend of mine said, she was telling me about how she had gotten married, and she said it was kind of weird because I told my sisters that I was going to get married, and they're busybodies. I thought they'd immediately go, you know, okay, great, I'm going to plan everything. And instead, she said they were kind of weird, and it was really, you know, making her angry. And so as the wedding day got closer and closer, she finally said that she was going to confront her sisters about not being fully on board. And when she went to confront them, she said, well, I mean, we didn't know how to react because here's how you told us. Hey, look, if you're not doing anything, I'm going to get married, and if you can be there, it'd be great, but, you know, whatever. So he said, you know, I didn't know whether it was a hostage situation. I didn't know what was going on. So, but I tell you that because I know that weddings that have transpired since that beautiful day in Judge Zabel's chambers until today have included that moment when you were deciding who exactly you were going to invite, and it suddenly called a question. Many of us who've come out, we've sort of gotten to that place of sort of a détente in our family. You know, we're out, but we're not really going to talk about it much, and there's certain subject areas that we just don't delve into, but weddings really do call that question. And I have been amazed by story after story, and I'm going to lean on this thing. I don't care. Nobody tells me what to do. No, I'm just messing. No, I'm just messing. But by story after story of people who found in their families supporters that they never, ever envisioned. And we really are seeing that. There are people who are at the forefront of passing that awful constitutional amendment in 2008 who are standing at the forefront of equality now, who have taken what Judge Zabel referred to as that journey. And that journey begins really with those small conversations. We get to honor those heroic people. We get to honor in St. Pete, we got to honor Edie Windsor. It is amazing to be able to honor Jim tonight. And what strikes me about all of these heroic figures in this struggle, the plaintiffs in our case as well, is that none of them ever would think of themselves as heroes. They would be the first to say, we stand here carried on the shoulders of the people in this room and rooms like this all over the country. And I'm not just saying this because I'm in Broward, but Broward continues to be the standard bearer. This is the largest event that we have in the state. This is the most successful fundraising event that we have in the state. This is our largest volunteer base that we have in the state. And at a moment when, in the wake of marriage equality, some places began to repeal domestic partnership, Broward County said, no, that's still valuable too, and made it stronger. So Broward County, you all continue to set the bar for what equality ought to look like in our state, and we cannot thank you enough for doing that incredible work. So here's the other thing. Here's the other thing that is so critical on a night like tonight, where we are soaking in how much progress we have made together. And it's this: we have to remember what it took to get here, because we've got a long way to go. And we have to remember what it took to get here because Florida has a lot to teach the nation about how you win in places that are difficult to win in. It matters a great deal that we had victory after victory after victory in the courts before the Supreme Court decision. It matters a great deal that Florida, the third largest state in the nation, a deep South state, a Republican-controlled state, was in the win column, that we had marriage equality in our state before the Supreme Court ruled. That matters. When Florida got on board, it helped to deliver the message that America was ready for that incredible decision. And so we have carved out victories in Florida. More than 56% of Floridians now live in places where discrimination at the local level is absolutely illegal. That is 10 million people. You know, think of, I don't know, New Hampshire, Delaware, Rhode Island, the Dakotas, Vermont, D.C., combine all of those states, and it still doesn't equal up to the number of people that we have protected because you've invested in that work, city after city and county after county. We should be incredibly proud of that. But it also means when I drive from here to where I grew up in Panama City, I go through city and county after county where my rights evaporate the moment I cross that invisible line. It has to be something we celebrate, that we are making progress, and we have to be absolutely impatient for full and lasting equality all across our state and all across our nation. And when Broward leads the way, you set that bar high and other places begin to follow. And we use Broward as an example all across the state when we're passing safe schools bills to address bullying in our schools, when we're challenging other communities to add protections or keep protections in place. What you do here, what you've invested in here, matters a great deal. And you know, right now, I know many of us are reeling, whether when we watch the news and we see what's happened in Beirut, we see what's happened in France, and we can feel very, very helpless. But I want to just challenge us to remember that the extremism that we encounter, those people that stood on the steps of the courthouse when we were fighting for marriage equality and called us every kind of name, that same belief that their religious ideology is sufficient to inflict harm on other people is something that we don't have to simply challenge on foreign soil. We can challenge it and must challenge it right here in our country. So, you know, I want to leave us all with this challenge because this has been an incredible turning point. But as Evan Wolfson often says, winning isn't won. We are winning, and we are far from having won. And as much as marriage means to me as a parent, as a spouse, and it is an incredible inflection point in this country's history, we have to remember that we live in a place where 40% of the homeless youth are LGBT. We live in a place where disproportionately our young people are caught up in human trafficking because not only are they homeless, but no one's looking for them. We have to understand that it is cold comfort to know you can get married if doing so costs you your job. And so the work that is ahead of us is going to be difficult. We're already in the middle of the post-marriage backlash. We've been in Tallahassee for almost 20 years now, and in these last two election cycles or legislative sessions, we have seen the ugliest anti-LGBT legislation we have ever seen. A bill that would make it illegal for transgender people to use public restrooms. A bill, House Bill 401, that was introduced by a Republican legislator out of Sarasota that would allow doctors to refuse to treat LGBT patients. It is the most, if you think of Indiana, remember the huge backlash when Indiana passed that bill that everyone said was so far-reaching? This bill makes Indiana's bill look like child's play. So the people who, when we say we are winning and winning and winning, there's a room where other people are going, we are losing and losing and losing, and out of that, they have become uglier and more desperate in the things that they are doing. And our job right now is to be energized by our victories, but not complacent. And that is why it thrills me to look across this crowd and see an even bigger team this year with marriage secure in our hands, knowing that you're ready to fight. And for our families, we can't think that marriage is the end of the road in terms of what we must secure, because you saw the weddings that happened in Judge Zabel's chambers. Well, the very first couple who got married not too long ago had twins. And at a moment they should have simply been celebrating the birth of their twins, they had to deal with the fact that the state of Florida makes it illegal to put their names on the birth certificate as a married couple, and instead identifies them as a single mom, father unknown. So we've got work to do. We are very fortunate that we have a strong legal team that is always there. Stratton mentioned Carlton Fields, our good friends at National Center for Lesbian Rights, but I also want to point out one of our lead attorneys who's been here. There she is, Liz Schwartz, back in court again. So listen, it has been a heck of a journey, and it has been because of those quiet conversations, those moments when we reached out and we said, we can do this if you'll stand with us, if you'll fight with us, if you'll invest in this work, and you did it every time we asked, and I cannot thank you enough. And I'm here to say, in those years that I've been part of Equality Florida, I have had many titles, chief cook, bottle washer, field organizer, lobbyist, but the title that I am proudest of at Equality Florida is this one. I'm a Florida Council member. My wife and I, yes, my wife and I donate each month to Equality Florida because we know how stingy and effective Equality Florida is with the money that is contributed. And so when you look around the room and you see people wearing these pins, you know that they are part of the Florida Council. They make up 80% of the budget that we are able to use strategically to win all over the state. So if you see somebody with one of these pins, hug them and tell them how much it compliments their eyes. And if you want to possess one of these pins, that's available to you tonight as well. These Florida Council members are people who give $1,200 or more a year, $100 a month. That's what me and my wife do. And tonight we have an incredible incentive because John Evans has issued a challenge grant. So up to $10,000 for any new donors who give $500 or more. And if you're already a donor, if you add $500 or more to your gift, they will match up to $10,000. But that's not all. But there's more. We have a limited number of this amazing book. It is the combination of the U.S. Supreme Court ruling and Judge Zabel's ruling. But there's more. It is signed by the lead plaintiffs in both cases. And for the first 50 people that take up John Evans' challenge, we have those signed copies for you to have and to hold. So listen, Broward County, I'm not just saying this because I'm looking at you. There's not more. This is the end. It really is an inspiration when we come here. It really is amazing to look around this room, to know how far we have come. And I will tell you, when staff, and we've got staff from all over the state, when they go back to the regions where they work and organize galas, they will be saying, this is how Broward did it. Now let's take them down. So thank you for issuing that challenge. Thank you all for the incredible support.